Chase Montez said he's getting double. Chase Montez said he's getting double-digit sacks this year. How many are you getting?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Reed, and co-host, making his debut, our guy, Todd Wright. Thank you so much for joining us, Todd, our fourth honorary member. But we are joined by a very special guest, senior writer for The Athletic, Ben Standig, covering the Washington football team. Thank you for joining us again, Ben. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. It's been a 2-cup of coffee day. We're day 8 into training camp. I'm starting to get run down. Not that I've hit a blocking sled or anything, but overall I'm doing all right. Just a little tired today.
I'm glad to hear that, Ben. And speaking of being a little bit tired, it seems like Brandon Sheriff and Cornelius Lucas were activated and back at practice today. How did they look? Did you see any difference when they were brought back onto that starting lineup?
I'll be straight up. I watched the starting offense play. Thus, I watched them play because Lucas was playing left tackle. Charles Leno was out with a personal day. I didn't really pay much attention to them. I mean, it's interesting. The guys coming off of the reserve COVID list, Lucas was given 1 day. So he came off the day before. He was given 1 extra day to get acclimated.
Okay.
Matt Ioannidis has been given 3 days to get acclimated. Sheriff just came out today and was immediately in the lineup. So I just sort of take that as he's good to go and no big deal. I haven't noticed anybody in particular having any issues. But at the same point, like I said, Ioannidis is still on the side, and at the moment we haven't heard that there's an injury. And Rivera has just said that it's just sort of they're just easing him back in. So that would be the only one of these guys who's come back that I would say something is off. But even with that, I don't know what's going on with that.
Okay. Right. So Ben, the big news lately that I think is really been kind of controversial, at least on Twitter, and especially during the press conferences. I saw a lot of comments about this, and I don't know if maybe you can help clear this up, but with the banning on the headdresses and the Native American garb, no face paint, no Native American injury, a lot of fans, I think, are confused as to if they can wear old, trigger warning, Redskins jerseys, or if they can wear old Redskins shirts with the Native American logo on that. Do you know anything about that? Is that allowed, or is it just the face paint and the hairdress or the headdresses and stuff?
I guess I'm just under the impression that it's just that if you're wearing, Redskins gear, T-shirt, jersey, whatever, I think that's fine. But yes, it's the extra, the Chief Z of it all from back in the day. That level of get up, I think, is the concern. Which, to be honest, I haven't sat in the stands in a while because of this job, so I don't know how many people are wearing these things. But I don't get the sense that it's that many. But they want to cut off any particular issues, and who knows if there's anybody out there who's going to be wanting to make a statement or who knows what. So it's fine. But I don't get the sense that it's anything a lot more than that.
And I think I heard that the team wouldn't be uploading any photos publicly if there were Redskins merchandise in it. So you can wear your Redskins merch, you just won't be pictured and put out in social media for everyone to see with the gear on, from what I understand.
Sure.
Everybody would.
Obviously, whatever one thinks about the situation, obviously they're trying to move past it. And yes, if you were to put out a tweet that had somebody in a gear of that era, then yes, immediately people who are not from here will see this quote tweet and say, oh, yada, yada, yada. So sure. It makes sense logically from their perspective to not do that.
People wear pig snouts anyway instead, I don't see too many.
So Ben, I want to take it back on the field for a second.
Sure.
Is 7 wide receivers going into the season? Is that completely out of question? And who do you think would be that odd man out?
I don't think 7's out of the question. I think the way I've started to view this is it's 6 receivers, and then do you want a punt returner? And I'm putting the punt return almost in a separate category.
Right.
Because, look, I do it all the time too. I wrote the other day, I wrote a wide receiver story, and I went through all 12 guys and gave sort of updates on where they're at. And it has been a big topic of conversation. And for us in practice, honestly, it's one of the easier things to keep track of because it's fun to watch the quarterbacks throw the balls to the receivers in one-on-one situations. Whereas, like I said, the offensive line, all the line and the defensive stuff, there's no tackling. So it's not, you can't really see it to the full degree. But wide receivers, at least you get a sense. And a lot of these guys have played really well. Even Tony Brown, who's probably the 12th guy with no chance. Under a normal year with this group, he could be this year's Isaiah Wright. I think he's done some good things. at least on offense. Now, that said, the punt returner is a separate issue. The solution that I came up with in my story the other day is, or one idea is, don't keep a punt returner. And you're like, well, how does that work? Well, with the practice squad rules, the same as last year, you can have each week promote 2 guys up from the practice squad to play. The third time they'd have to clear waivers, so you have to put them on the roster by then. So my thinking would be, I think for me, not right now the 6 would be Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, obviously, De'Ami Brown, Adam Humphries, Cam Sims. I think I would have Antonio Gandy Golden as the 6th guy. He was the 4th round pick last year under the Ron Rivera regime. And then after that, you have Steven Sims, DeAndre Carter, Dax Milne, Isaiah Wright,
Kelvin Harmon.
He's not in the punt return part, but Kelvin Harmon's on right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for sure. And Danny Johnson is also in the return game, and he could be the 6th corner, so that's a separate issue. So to me, like, I don't want to be cavalier about it, but if you waived all those guys, whoever clears waivers, you put them on the practice squad, and one of them is your punt returner. If you say, well, okay, come on, they're going to keep a punt returner. I think Steven Sims has looked pretty good to me. I think DeAndre Carter's done some good things also. I guess I'm just more cognizant of Sims because he's been here, and I think he's looked a lot better. He's been getting. I mean, we don't really see them return punts in practice because, again, there's no tackling. But they go through the formality of it. The Tressway punts it, and the guys run down the field to cover the fake punt. And then I don't mean a fake punt, but not a real punt return. And somebody catches. So it's not like we're seeing Steven Sims do it. This is what the preseason will be for. So I guess I would pick him. But if you told me DeAndre Carter, probably one of them would be my guess as the 7th guy.
Right. And I have always been Steven Sims' biggest critic for the last 2 years, but I will say when I was at training camp, the guy kind of won me over. He impressed me. Every chance he got, he's out there catching balls after practice, in between drills. So he's working on those bobble hands. You got to appreciate that.
Yes, and Ben, one player in Curtis Samuel that has not seen the field yet for fans, Coach was basically saying that he wasn't too concerned about the cohesion aspect with his quarterbacks. So my question to you, Ben, is, knowing that, you would think that it's going to be soon when he's back. Could you make a roundabout prediction on when we could see Curtis Samuel return?
I have no idea at this point. I mean, he's both on the COVID list and was dealing with a groin injury that they said was not that serious, but it was the same injury that he had 6 weeks prior up in OTAs and minicamp. So I don't know how not serious of an injury it could be if he's out all this time and he's, unless there's some reason that they wouldn't have announced he's off the COVID list, he should be off by now because he went on the same day, I believe, as Ioannidis, who came off 2 days ago. His time is up, but they haven't announced that he's off. So I'm not speculating what that means exactly, but he's still on it. So, so no, I have no idea at this point. I mean, you would think they want to get him back on the field as soon as possible. Rivera did say a couple times now he's not concerned about it in terms of any of this. The coaching staff certainly knows him. But yeah, I mean, logically, you'd think you want to get him on the field as soon as you can. He is with a new team. It is a new quarterback. And also it's not like he's the X receiver. He's going to go do these things. He's going to be outside. He's going to be inside. He's going to be in the backfield. He's all over the place.
Right.
And that's why, like, well, nobody ever asked me anything, but if somebody said, hey, who's going to be the 3rd receiver, like in terms of, I don't know, whatever, snaps or receptions, I don't know, because I need to see where he's going to be. I guess he'll be more outside, which maybe makes Adam Humphries that favor, but he could be inside. He could be anywhere, and then that could change who it is. So yeah, I wish I knew when he would be back, but it's hard to say right now.
Respect to you, Ben. You're such a professional. I gave you a terrible question and you turned that into 2 or 3 minute answer. That was awesome.
Yeah, and a very informative and fantastic answer as well. So switching gears a little bit to the offensive line. One person who, when we saw him at training camp, I said this on Tuesday, he literally looked like the Mountain from Game of Thrones when he came out with his shirt off, just all burly and hairy, and Jesus, that's a huge man. And he's had an up and down training camp and mini camp. Do you think Sam Cosmi has a chance to start early in the season?
He definitely has a chance. He's been the one going with the ones. Now, is obviously because Lucas was out on the COVID list, and he's been still with the ones all this time. I think early on in camp, everybody was getting a little too out in front, saying he was struggling. He's a rookie. He wasn't a top 10 pick. Any rookie offensive tackle is going to take a minute against anybody, let alone you're going up against Chase Young and Montez Sweat.
Right.
So that's a lot to deal with. But I feel like he's been getting a little bit better. Rivera certainly has been praising him a lot the last couple of days, saying how much progress he's seeing now, whether that's 100% sincere or he's trying to build confidence or he's, whatever. But I think he's been doing okay. I don't know if that means he starts week 1. They may decide in the end, hey, we know what we're getting with Lucas. Cosme is getting closer, but he isn't quite there yet. So it wouldn't stun me if it was Lucas. But at some point he'd have to be in with the ones during practices, in training camp for me to say that could be truly be the case.
Okay. And so I'm looking at the lineup on ESPN and their depth chart right now, and they have Tamarick Hemingway at the 4th spot for tight end. Is there any possibility that he's able to move up to a tight end number 2 by the time the season starts?
So who's ahead of him? I mean, obviously Logan Thomas with Bates and Ricky Seals-Jones, or?
Yes, they have. I literally just closed it, so of course I have to open it again.
No, it's all right. I mean, it's probably that.
Ricky Seals-Jones, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bates is going to make this team now, whether he's the second tight end or third, I don't know. He had a nice catch today in the back of the end zone, kind of a bit of a toe tapper to get in, which is a good sign. And his blocking is something that they like. But again, he's a rookie. So, maybe that's the case. I've had Hemingway as my third guy all along. He was here last year, given the Carolina, he's got the Carolina thing. So there's that. And, they like him as a blocker. He's done some decent things, I thought, in the passing game. Now, Ricky Seals-Jones, I don't know if it's just because of his name is recognizable, but he's a guy that's been around and people kind of know him. He's had a couple of decent moments, catching the ball here in camp. If you made me pick, I've been going Hemingway just because of his familiarity. So I don't have any reason to think otherwise. So yeah, he easily could be that guy. I think the real story here, though, is I was sort of debating who is the most indispensable player on the team. And I'm not saying Logan Thomas is number 1, but the drop off from Logan Thomas to whoever else would have to replace him may be as severe as any on the team. So, I think the tight end position, I think they did draft the guy, but kind of was wondering if they would do more. They didn't. And, we'll just see how that goes. But that's definitely a spot where not a ton of proven depth, at least from a pass catcher standpoint.
I have a 2-part question for you, speaking on that, because you brought up a great point. And one of my questions to you was, Chase Royer, if there were an injury to him, just like you said with Logan Thomas, would we have somebody behind him to be able to come in and play backup there and do well in his leave? With Chase Royer, is there anybody that you feel confident can play center if he were to go out?
Anybody who's listened to me on Fred Katz's Wizards After Dark podcast knows I love minutia questions. So I really appreciate the backup center question. Well, I guess I would say this. So in theory, it's a battle between Keith Ismail, who was here last year, a day 3 pick, and Tyler Larson, who they signed again, another guy with Carolina ties. Now, Larson, just based on the fact he's been around the league, I guess you could say if Rouye were to go out, he could step in to some degree. But I don't think they're keeping them both. And even if you keep 10 offensive linemen, I would think it would be more like a David Sharp gets the last spot than 3 centers. So I think the answer would be Keith Ismail, who's been banged up last couple of days. I think he was back practicing today, but he had a little bit of a knee issue, I guess. I mean, look, I don't know. He didn't play last year, right? Because Chase Rouye didn't go down. And Keith Ismail entered the league, with pretty good, it was in the draft, had a pretty good reputation. Yes. Just haven't seen him play. So I could easily just say, yeah, sure, why not? But I mean, I don't know definitively, but obviously that's the whole point. You throw these, you get these guys, you build them up, and you hope for the best. You asking me about Keith Ismail is more than we've asked Ron Rivera about Keith Ismail, so I couldn't begin to tell you what he thinks about him. It's not a bad question. It just hasn't come up. So I don't know, but yeah, it's a good wonder for sure. If we're play this out of all the spots on the line, that's the one where we don't know unless it's Larson, because like I said, he obviously has played in the league.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is like the positional flexibility and everything, and with them having a bunch of guards at the moment, because you could say Eric Flowers and Sadiq Charles. If the injury did come up, have you seen them possibly working at center in those cases, like the emergency situations at practice?
Not that I know of. I mean, Wes Martin's been taking some snaps at center. I don't, it doesn't seem like he's on the roster, or at least nobody would be penciling him in, or at most penciling him, but I don't even think that's the case. So no, I mean, between Ismail and Larson, that would happen. I mean, I am sure that one of these guys has taken a snap, because you never know how these things play out. But yeah, I haven't. It has not been a priority for them, at least in front of us, to have one of these randoms taking a snap.
Right. So another position to me that's very interesting is running back, because it seems like our top three guys all have a very special, they'll have their own niche, if you will. I mean, Antonio Gibson, JD McKissick, and Peyton Barber, of course, Peyton Barber being that short yardage guy. Is there room to keep 4 running backs with Jarrett Patterson and Lamar Miller on the active roster, or either one of those guys? Do you see that happening at all?
I don't think so. I mean,
Right.
It's not so much whether, it's not even a matter of what Patterson or Miller do or show. And I think both of them have done some decent things in camp. It's just, if you're keeping the 4th running back, then you're not keeping an offensive tackle like a David Sharp, or you're not keeping an extra pass rusher like a William Bradley King or Shaka Toney, or you're not keeping a DeShazer Everett or a Derek Forrest or somebody like that. And, or that 7th receiver we talked about. And I just think from a running back, running backs are important, obviously, but like, you can get a running back. I mean, I would imagine Jared Patterson would clear waivers. He obviously wasn't even drafted. I guess he could blow up in preseason and somebody could say, oh, we should have gotten him and all that. But realistically, one of these guys, and you can throw Jonathan Williams in there as well, who was here on the practice squad last year. One of these guys will get on the practice squad at least, and that would be the 4th guy. But I don't think that. I do think that there is some question about who's the 3rd guy. I don't think Peyton Barber is a lock. I mean, he slimmed down a little bit. He obviously was very effective in short yardage, but to your point about we talked about like what happens if Logan Thomas gets hurt. If Antonio Gibson were to miss time like he did last year with a toe injury, they don't have an obvious early down back. J.D. McKissick is a different type of back, but he's not an early down back, and I don't think Peyton Barber, frankly, is either. So could Jared Patterson or Miller be that guy? Maybe, but there's other concerns with them, things that they don't do. So I think that, to me, the 3rd running back will be an interesting one when we get into the preseason games, because with running backs, you really have to see them in actual, a game-like situation to have any real sense of kind of what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, and I personally just love wide receivers, so I'm going right back there. I know that was my first question. And you talked about Steven Sims and how you think they might use him back at punt return. Is there any chance that he's competition for Golden Gandy, or what would it take for him to make the roster at that wide receiver spot?
You can be honest, Ben.
It's tough. Yeah. He wasn't taken by this regime, so it's tough.
So I guess my thing is, like, I mean, look, obviously if you crush it in preseason and practices, at some point they just have to recognize it.
Right.
I just, like, there are some spots where I could just see a player getting released. Gandy Golden was a 4th round pick a year ago. Obviously his rookie year was, unfortunately for him, basically not a red shirt year.
Yep.
But he's got really good size. They loved him a year ago. I don't know why that would have changed. So I just don't see how he's gonna get beat out by any of these other guys, or at least not make the team. And we already went through the other 5 guys. I mean, Cam Sims, does a lot on special teams. I've talked about on my podcast where if you have to pick a surprise cut, so not just somebody who you think is making a team that wouldn't. I laid out the scenario where maybe it would be Adam Humphries if they were to play Samuel Moore in the slot. They need a punt returner. He's had an injury history, but that's unlikely. Right. So I just think those 6 are, even though there's a really interesting competition, for me, those 6 are kind of locked, and it is just a matter of, are you keeping 7? Right. But, I think Steven Sims is under a normal year with this group for the last several years. Steven Sims, Kelvin Harmon, all easily could be. DeAndre Carter would be like, oh, not just make the team, they could be playing a lot. In this year, it's just wild. They just have a lot more depth.
It's amazing what a year can do. Last year, there was
it really is, dude.
Now, to wrap this up, Ben, my last question for you. The second most important position on offense besides quarterback is the left tackle position. The Ron Rivera brought in Charles Leno from Chicago. Based on training camp over the days, how did he look? Because we didn't get that many updates of Charles Leno and how he was against Montez Sweat and Chase Young. All we did was hear about how Sadiq Charles and Cosme got their butt whooped all week. So how did he look? Do you think that it's going to be serviceable? We shouldn't be concerned with that position?
Yeah, I mean, I think he looked okay. I guess it's just, when you're standing there on the sideline, there's only so many things you can look at. And when the offense is going left to right, and he's therefore on the far side from where we are.
I got you.
You can't really see too much, but you can see Montez Sweat or Chase Young, if that's who's out there, doing what they're doing. You're kind of watching them a lot, because that's the energy is kind of with those guys. You're really curious what they're going to do. But anyway, I think he's been fine. I mean, I haven't noticed, wow, he's getting destroyed all the time or anything like that. But yeah, he's been okay. I mean, I don't know how, I don't think we're talking about Trent Williams 2.0 or anything. And I think an interesting thing will be, to what degree does he need to get some help? Can he handle everything one-on-one? Does he need a tight end shipping or running back shipping, things like that? And if he does, then that's obviously not ideal. But, I think by and large, he's been fine. I hate going with the caveat of, well, we need to see them in real game action before we can know too much. But unfortunately, that really is just kind of the deal for anything for me other than, say, the quarterback and the receivers, because that's at least sort of normal. But the line play and defense, I mean, it's just, it's not full blown, and they weren't in pads today, and so on. So, but again, all he looks fine. It doesn't to me seem an issue on the line. There's questions obviously at right tackle as we discussed, maybe even a little bit at left guard, but I don't think I'm not worried about Leno at this point.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is just basically trying to make sure the fans, is he going to be a liability or not? And that's what essentially I'm trying to get pushed across, because not that much has come about Leno. But you answered that perfectly, Ben. Ben, I can't thank you enough for joining us again. You do a lot of work for The Athletic, of course. You have your own podcast, A Standig Room Only, that I actually haven't subscribed to. So if you can, just tell everyone where they can find you on all their social media platforms.
Sure. On Twitter at Ben Standig. A lot of tweets. Sorry in advance.
You're one of the best follows during this time of year, too, by the way.
I appreciate that. Just subscribe to The Athletic. And I was actually saying to these guys right before we came on that for the next couple of days, there's a good deal, 50% off the subscription rate. So if you've been waiting, this is a good time to get in, especially with training camp here. And then, the Standig Room Only podcast, wherever you guys find this podcast, I'm sure iTunes or wherever, it'll be there as well. I just put up a new one today with Lindsey Jones, one of our national writers, talking about this team and the NFC East and a whole bunch of stuff. So, I appreciate anybody checking it out.
Of course. And I can't thank you enough for your time and being able to come talk some ball with us. Go drink that coffee, Ben. I hope you get some rest.
God, if I drink more coffee now, I'll never get any sleep, but we're going to have to hope for the best.
Absolutely. Have a good night, Ben.
Thanks, guys. See you.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Bye, man.
We just spoke with the legendary Mr. Ben Standig, of course. Love having him on here.
Always good. Yeah, always so good. Ben just knows everything, and he's one of the most chill human beings in the world, too.
Yes, he is.
Ben is just always so chill.
And look, before we get into our next guest, who will be joining us very, very shortly, I wanted to talk about Friday Night Football tomorrow night. Not that many people know. Todd, if you could just briefly, not that many people know you are a fourth member. Yeah. Your last appearance on with us was during the Super Bowl special that we had.
It's been a little while.
Right. Can you try to explain to the folks what you do and what your expertise is?
So I am an on-field coordinator. So in a standard year, that's basically like a stage manager for everything on the field, entertainment-wise.
At FedEx Field.
At FedEx Field, correct. So that's honor guard, anthem singer, halftime show, any check presentation, anything that's on the field itself that's not part of the actual game. I'm usually about 2.5 feet away behind the camera, next to the camera, just kind of making sure everyone made it to their spot and timing wise, making sure that everything's kind of just running smooth and taking my orders from above.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, because of your expertise with that, because Ron
That's
Rivera,
a big word, man. Expertise.
That's pushing it a little bit. Come on.
Ron Rivera talked about today that that they're having practice, because Pete Haley asked him in the press conferences if it was going to be like a game type of situation. He said, no, we're having practice. So how can you be able to have practice in conjunction with trying to make it entertaining for fans when you have such a small field?
I mean, I think part of the entertainment, wow, it's been a long day, is the fact that you're just getting football. This is the first weekend. Yeah. It's the first weekend.
Football starts tonight.
Right. It starts tonight. And we're not going to not have football until February.
I know.
It's the most magical time of the year. So, better than Christmas. So I think just that, maybe the novelty of just having a product in front of you, and a product that you haven't seen since we won a division.
Yeah.
Right.
And
like,
true.
You have you now have Fitzpatrick back under center. You're getting to see him for the first time. You're getting to see a whole lot of shiny new toys at wide receiver. Just a whole bunch of new things. Chase Young, who's mad about his Madden rating. You got him out there practicing. Like, you got things that that are going to be entertaining out there on the field as far as a game product to watch.
And yeah, this is good, especially important because it's going to be fans' first time allowed at FedEx in such a long time.
Well, I was at draft night. I mean, obviously. So this.
Well, yeah, but to watch some football, you know.
I mean, you were taking some terrible field goal shots, but
dude.
Was Kyle kicking field goals?
Dude, it was so bad. I was legit embarrassed. I was like, dude, I don't ever want to be because I
should have done it.
Wait. Reed, I thought I sent you the video.
No, I didn't see the video.
No, I made sure that got deleted.
No,
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna.
No, don't. I wish I knew that you recorded this. It's so bad and unathletic. I wore my.
It's awful.
I wore my steel toe. I wore my steel toe boots
because you were like, I can kick it further. I'm not gonna hurt myself.
Well, no, because I work construction, so I'm walking all day in my boots. And if I'm gonna be walking around FedEx Field, I'd rather be in shoes that are comfortable. So I wore my boots, and so I was like, instead of kicking it like soccer ball, like I usually do, I tried to do the toe, and dude, it shot right, never left the ground. It was horrible.
It was bad.
I'll tell you what, it was entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would pay money to see that.
I was like legit looked up. I was like, make sure nobody could see this. But I wanted to because
I'm leaking that on Twitter.
I was gonna say now that it's on the podcast that there's video, you kind of
have to put it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not.
Please don't. Please.
Now you're just gonna look self-conscious.
But we had a fan question from Tony Shivers, our big guy. Only fan question we have besides the Colonel. But I wanted to. He asked this is a great one. He wanted to know if you guys are going to be watching the Hall of Fame game tonight with the Steelers versus the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, I'm 100%. It's football. I mean, look, I hate both teams. I could care less about them, but it's football, man. Football is back. I don't know who's playing. I haven't checked if anybody exciting is playing. I want to see Dwayne Haskins embarrass himself, so that way people can be like, "Whoa,
dude, he's going against the Cowboys set defense. He's going to do
fine."
Yeah,
but it's Dwayne Haskins. He's not going to do fine.
He's getting a full quarter.
Yeah, he's getting.
He should be play for a while.
And Dwayne has gotten rave reviews from Steelers practice. He's actually made some very good plays.
Yeah, well, guess what? He also got rave reviews from us.
I know.
You know what? I wish him all the best. I really do.
So
I'm sad it didn't work out here.
Yeah.
It was, let's call it what it was. It was a waste of a draft pick again.
Oh, yeah.
But he seems like if he gets his head on straight, and hopefully Pittsburgh did that, and Tomlin's got that kind of.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just
Antonio Brown seemed sane for years under him.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's true.
If anyone can do it, right. But yes, I'm watching.
I will say, yes, I'm going to be watching, Tony. 100% I am. It's football. I'm going to be back on to watch football. I don't care who's playing in the game. With Dwayne, we said pre-draft. The player comp for him was Big Ben. The big body, big arm, got to learn the system, needs to go to a team that is very well built so he doesn't have to be the only thing making things work. It's going to make it easier for him. So it's perfect that he's in Pittsburgh. I think that is the best place for him. And I hope that he does overtake Mason Rudolph, the helmet head.
He should.
He should. That's a guy that should not be there anymore. But thank you, Tony. Yes, I'm definitely going to watch it, dude. It's football. I don't care if nobody really important is playing. Let's just watch football, dude.
Neither do I.
The guy Disco on Twitter made a really funny joke. He said it's preseason football is just like eating ramen when you're hungry. When you're hungry enough, it tastes like steak.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, when you're starving enough. I'm a fucking filet mignon right now tonight.
Right. And then our next question, before we get into our next guest, our next question is from the Colonel. Thank you, sir. He wants to know,
Thank you, Colonel.
With the discussion with injuries, what is going on with the Washington football team with all of these injuries going on? Are you concerned?
Yeah, I'm concerned, not necessarily, but there is always something in the back of your mind where it's like, this is Washington. I mean, you remember the last 3 years of Jay Gruden's tenure, like it scares you a little bit just because of, the history, but I think that we should be okay. I think it's good to kind of get all this COVID stuff kind of out of the way as early as you possibly can. And look, everybody's getting vaccinated. I hope that, Washington will be all right. And really, I just hope Curtis Samuel's okay at this point because I'm a little bit nervous about that. Ron's not. I am.
Yeah, look.
It's early. It's still, we're just now barely scratching the surface.
People just started hitting each other the other day.
Right. Honestly, the casual fans haven't even started tuning in yet. So no, I'm not concerned yet. Let's get to week 1. Let's see what it looks like. And then let me panic for my life. Yeah. I'm already on record. I'm already on record. I said we're winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, you got money on it.
You did place money on it. You did.
I placed money on it. I've put it out on Twitter, and I'm not that guy. Never. I never say that we're gonna win. This is our year. Please.
And that,
please,
I
It's
love
happening.
that bet.
Never.
Basically,
get injured.
the Colonel's question, the next question was basically the one that he wanted to prioritize was Jonathan Allen and Antonio Gibson. Really, and Jonathan Allen's hamstring injury is a major concern because hammies do linger, like the groins do with Curtis Samuel. But with AG, the turf toe, it's more about pain tolerance. So it's all based on Antonio Gibson. That's the good thing, is like he is the indicator. It's not that the injury could possibly just pop and he doesn't know what's going on and we have the injury. If it starts to get worse and worse, then he's going to take himself out. So it's not like he's susceptible to a major injury with that. It sucks for him, but it's all pain tolerant.
And he has looked very well. He hasn't been complaining about it. You haven't really seen him limping or anything. So that's been good. I think that he'll be fine going forward.
Absolutely. And thank you, Colonel. That was great. We're going to go back into your questions a little bit, but now joining us is we have a very special guest for the first time ever. We have our guy, Felix Trammell from 1340 AM Fox Sports. Thank you for joining us for the first time, Felix. How are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm great, guys. Thanks for the invitation. How's everybody doing today?
Oh,
Fantastic.
It's a football day, Felix.
Yeah.
All great.
Hey,
Hold on.
hey.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Felix. I need to see the T-shirt, please. I gotta see the WrestleMania.
Yes. What is that? Ultimate Warrior. Ooh, WrestleMania.
Let's go.
I had an old school WWF day, and I had to pull out the Ultimate Warrior.
I love
Right.
it.
There you go. So you were going old school. You were going to the Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, you know,
Not
that's what I
Attitude
grew
Era.
up on, and then once HBK took off, that was it, and I was locked
There you
in.
go.
Yeah, I was locked in.
I started tuning in when I was younger, right when Stone Cold won at WrestleMania 14 against Shawn Michaels. That's when I first started like really getting into it. And ever since then, I was basically raised by him via television, and that's why I turned up.
I was so torn because I was such a Shawn guy,
Right.
but Stone Cold was just it.
Nah,
So
he was the
like,
guy.
Dude, he
You couldn't-
was the guy.
At that point, you couldn't deny.
I mean, it was nothing to be mad about.
Yeah,
It was nothing to be-
he's like Pat Mahomes, really, for the wrestling world.
Yeah.
But let's bring this back to the Washington football team, Felix, and we're going to look at strictly with the defense here. My first question to you, Daron Payne returned to practice today. Matt Ioannidis is still slowly coming back. Can you kind of give us an update on those guys and how they looked?
All right. Daron Payne came back in, and the defense just clicks a little bit more. Yesterday, Payne was out. We were left with Settle in the middle, and Settle's good, but the offense was actually able to exploit him, especially when Settle went out and they went to some of the second, third team guys. But Payne just shored up the middle, and his push up front with Allen is tremendous, and it just allows the guys to fly off the end because now that quarterback can't step up in the pocket. So Payne looked good. Payne didn't look like he missed a step.
Good.
I just didn't look bad on the side. I mean, I just think they're taking him slowly along because they know what they need from him. But he looked fine over on the side. He didn't look like he was moving too stiff, too gingerly. It just looks kind of like they're just trying to bring him back in shape, get his wind going, things of that nature. But Payne looked like Daron Payne.
Yeah, right. Well, good. Thank God. So another player that has been just completely balling out. He's been that MVP so far. Landon Collins. A lot of fans, I feel like we're kind of counting him out. And this, all of a sudden, this safety room, you got a logjam at safety. Who do you think ends up making this team? Because I mean, Bobby McCain, I know he's listed as a corner, but he's also played safety. He's played safety with Washington and some of these. Kam Curl, DeShazer Everett, Jeremy Reeves. I mean, then Derek Forrest.
It's a packed room, and Landon came back and lost some weight. Landon looks like Alabama Landon Collins, and I think that just changed how he plays because he's faster to the ball. He's more active.
Seems to be everywhere.
Yeah, and he's just making the plays. But Curl is such an integral part of this defense, and he's going to see so much of the field. And McCain, they like to go to in these big wide packages. He's played some base. But he's usually in the back, playing single high if they're doing some cover 3 shell look. But I think all those guys are going to make it. Landon's going to make it. Curl's going to make it. Reeves is going to make it. DeShazer going to make it. And Forrest is going to make it. So that's going to be your 5. And the reason why they've slid Apke down the corner is because they knew there was no chance there.
Logjam.
And so those are going to be your five. And those three, the Curl, Collins, and McCain, are going to float. There are going to be times where it looks like Curl's playing the free while Landon's in the box. So there's going to be times where it's going to be Curl playing at Buffalo nickel while McCain's in the back. I've seen one where it's been Collins and Curl both lining up at linebacker.
Okay.
And McCain has been back there. So it's a versatility there.
Yeah.
But that's going to be your five. It's going to be pretty hard to make that outside of that. Forrest has made some plays, but I mean, it's just too many guys there.
Yeah.
And Shazer and Jeremy Reeves just offer so much special teams ability that they're going to be on this roster.
Yeah.
So that's your safety room.
Love it. I want to go over to defensive end and just kind of ask about James Smith-Williams real quick. Does he have that number 3 DN locked up?
From hearing what Coach Rivera said yesterday, you think he's pretty much there, but Tony makes plays, and Tony has a good mean streak and a good burst about him. So it might be Tony playing over him, but Williams might slide inside some. He has the ability to put his hand down and go to a 3-tech, even to a 5-tech, still with his hand in the ground. But he brought almost like a NASCAR package. So Tony I think Tony has more pure rushing skills. William Smith has more of just the all-around DN play.
Can you just give more context, just in case there's people watching that don't know what a 3-tech and a 5-tech is, Felix, if you go into and give a description for that?
Okay, and when I say tech, or anyone says tech, is where they're lining up on the defensive line in comparison to the offensive line. So D tackle, a nose tackle, a true nose tackle is a 0-tech. He's right up on the center. Then it goes gap player. So like Payne and Allen are 3-techs because they're playing inside that guard center gap, depending on the strength of the offense. So if you put them at a 5-tech, they're outside the guard, in between that guard and tackle slot. So that guard, who generally in a box doesn't have that quicker drop step that the offensive tackles do, and you put somebody there to rush in that gap, a guard's going to have problems, especially if there's a end on the outside that the tackle has to worry about. He doesn't have any help. So that's the 3, 5, 7, 9 tech.
Yeah, thank you for elaborating on that. Just because I know that there are people out there who don't know what that is, and they think it's like foreign language. You don't know, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for elaborating. That was great. My question for you today, Coach Rivera talked in his presser, and there was one quote in particular that made my ears light up, and that was him talking about Jamin Davis taking that extra step, that leap forward in a leadership aspect, talking with him, giving him the support to say, you can do this. My question to you, Felix, that's got to be very, not demoralizing, but that's got to be very, something that you're kind of scared of when you're looking at Chase Young and Montez Sweat and how much energy they bring, right? Coming in as a leadership aspect, trying to tell those guys what to do might seem very weird to Jamin. Do you think that Jamin does have the ability and that will be something he can do?
I think so. And coming from Kentucky, he was the guy. And now you come here, you might be the 6th best guy on defense on just pure ability. So, as a rookie, you don't want to come in and, start barking.
Right.
But if he has a good mentor in Bostic, and, Bostic has his ups and downs, but Bostic has been a true leader. Yeah. And Bostic will get guys lined up and do those things. And Jamin is right there with him. He's in his ear. He's in Jack Del Rio's ear. And he's in Coach Rivera's ear. And all of those are linebackers. I mean, his 2 coaches are linebackers. So he's just getting information from everywhere. And Cole Holcomb spoke on today how quickly he learns and how he can cover up space. And they just want him to use his ability and not think. Use your ability. You just use your instinct, use your ability. And when he does, he covers ground. So he has the ability to. I think Bostic's going to be, at least at the start of the season, will be mostly that quarterback of the defense. But he's usually the first person off. When they go to nickel, Bostic will come off. And then they add the corner, or they add Curl, or whoever they're going to add. And then it's going to become on Davis to call the defense and to make the right reads.
Right. Yeah. So we kind of touched on how much depth there is at safety. Really, this is Washington team has the most depth that I've seen probably in my lifetime, to be completely honest with you. But we'll move on to the other part, cornerbacks. There are so many good cornerbacks on this team. Do you think that Benjamin St. Juste plays a pretty big role his rookie year?
I think he's going to be the next in that curl position. The idea behind drafting him was him to start with Jackson eventually, and Fuller go to the slot
where he was,
because Fuller is the best slot corner on the team.
Yes,
but he can't play slot corner because he has to play on the outside.
Right.
So, St. Juste is the type of corner that Rivera likes, the bigger, more physical corners. Like he was comparing him to Peanut Tillman today.
Yeah.
And you can, and even when St. Juste is asked about it, you see his eyes light up.
Yep.
And
so pumped.
And so that's what they want him to be. They want him to be that physical corner opposite of Jackson. And so he's going to get work. So I think eventually things start to hammer in. And when they feel more comfortable with his play, he's going to move in a lot more. And like he's coming in the nickel and Fuller will slide on the inside. And so they're fully ready for him to take over at that corner spot.
Right. So then what does that mean for Jimmy Moreland?
He's kind of the odd guy out of that three, but he's still going to be the starting slot corner on this team.
Right.
And he still has the ability to make plays. This offseason, he put in work. He's got a little bit bigger. So he's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit stronger. You can see him being more physical up at the line of scrimmage. So Jimmy's definitely on this team. So that's four right there.
Yeah.
So after that, that's when it gets a little dicey with some guys, and it's going to be who's going to be able to do something on special teams to stand out. Right. Originally, I think I had five, or no, I know I had Danny Johnson making it as a special teams guy, and with the expanded practice squad, they're going to keep a few of those guys around.
Yeah,
the Holcomb and all those stuff. So those guys will still be in the system. But your top four, of course, will be Jackson, Fuller, Moreland, and St. Just. He's going to see the field.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay. And you just touched on special teams real quick. Can you kind of expand on DeShazer Everett and his injury concern and what that means for special teams?
Coach Rivera has an interesting look on special teams. He takes an approach like the Patriots do, where you have core special teamers, where that's their job on the roster. And DeShazer Everett is the leader of that for Washington. So they do a lot of special teams work. They come out, practice starts at 9. They're doing special team walkthrough at 8:45. And they're really teaching scheme and coverage and blocking and stuff. I think they'll be okay without DeShazer Everett, but he is that quarterback of that special teams. And he plays everyone except for field goal. He's playing. And so he's vital to the team. They have other players that can do it, but not at DeShazer's level and his energy, because he's a trash talker. I wish y'all could hear some of the stuff he says. He's a trash talker, and I love it.
He's like Kevin Garnett out there.
Oh yeah,
this whole
he's
got to get him energy right now, man.
We got to get him mic'd up one
chirping,
day.
and then you got William Jackson and Terry going at it.
Yeah. So I think DeShazer will be fine though. He should be good to go. But they have a good core special teamers now, and there's some offensive guys that's going to contribute on that side too. I'm just going to throw a name out there, Kevin Harmon. But there's going to be some guys on special teams there. So but DeShazer's definitely the leader of that unit.
Yeah, and one polarizing player from the Washington football team defense, Cole Holcomb, with that mullet power, he has looked great. This is his coming in. This is his third season. So if you could attribute his sort of, I guess, slow success thus far this season, he's looked a lot better. Would you attribute that to his experience and just growth, or do you think there's a lot to it with bringing in Davis, making his job easier?
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
And another thing I'll put, he gets to play his actual position. He was playing out of position, playing the wrong linebacker slot. Now he's the weak side linebacker where he's supposed to be. He can be more rangy, more instinctive. But like he said today, he's more comfortable in the system. Then you have someone next to him in Davis who he can trust to have his back, and McCain behind him to have his back, so you can play more aggressive. So I think all of those contribute to Holcomb being better this year, just looking better outside of the mullet, which is great. He's just he just looks just comfortable in the system. He knows his lane now, and he's playing his natural position, which is weak side linebacker. That's what he was built to be. And a lot of times last year, out of necessity, he played in the wrong place, and that wasn't instinctful for him. But now that you have a Jamin Davis there, and when you're in heavy or in base, when you have Bostic playing strong side, he can play weak side and be aggressive and assertive. And that's what you're going to see out of Cole Holcomb this year.
Right. Yeah. So I've seen a few fans on Twitter. It seems like they've kind of been losing their minds a little bit when it comes to William Jackson III. Now, I've been on record personally saying I think William Jackson III is going to establish himself as a top 7 to 5 cornerback in the NFL this year behind this defensive line. But they do kind of have a point. But it seems like every time you see Terry McLaurin make a play, or you go see Logan Thomas make a play, always seems to be over William Jackson. And it's so frustrating because they rarely show the other side of it where William Jackson's doing work. Can you assure fans that William Jackson's going to be okay over there, and it's just Terry's the guy on offense? They want to showcase him.
Look at it like this. Samuel Cosby is an exceptional offensive tackle.
Right.
He is going against Chase Young and Montez Sweat.
Right.
How is he going to look coming from Texas there?
Right.
William Jackson is an excellent corner. He has top 7 ability in this league. He's physical. He's learning the defense. But you're going against one of the best route runners in the league. And he's playing more zone and off man than he's used to. So it takes a little adjusting. If anyone's never played corner, if you've played press man your whole life and you're up and you're in their face and that's all you're playing, that's different from I've got to back up now, give this athlete space, look at the quarterback, look at him, look at this zone. It's different, and it takes time. Some guys aren't built for that, and I think Jackson has that ability. It just takes a little time. So those plays when Terry makes plays and come back, Jackson makes plays. But offense is what drives fans. So you follow my feed, and I'm like 30-yard pass to McLaurin over the top. I don't say the next play when Jackson swats the ball down and prevents the punt. I mean, it's just what it is.
That sells the game. Yeah.
It's just not as entertaining.
Right.
Chicks did the long ball. All right, that's what they said.
Hey, man, but you explained that perfectly. I was trying to think of how to tell people, like, to just pump the brakes a little bit. William Jackson's going to be fine.
I think when they saw the big contract, people were like, well, I expect Darrelle Revis. I expect,
Yeah.
I mean, Darrelle Revis was a product of a great defensive system.
Right.
Like you corners, with the exception of the all-time greats, the Darrell Greens and the Deion Sanders, are products of the defense.
Yeah,
like
look at
just
Nnamdi
like
Asomugha.
Right. I mean, Nnamdi was great with the Raiders, and he came to a horrible. Well, I wouldn't say horrible. It's a different system in Philadelphia, and he wasn't built for it.
No,
he just wasn't built for it.
Terrible. Yeah.
If he went out, he was out the league in 2 years.
Yeah.
All pro to out the league in 2 years. And systems matter. Players around you matter. Just like, if Terry's a top 5 receiver in the league, but he has no quarterback, what is that going to really do? Because he can't get the ball. He's dependent.
Right.
The cornerback's a dependent position, and then there'll be times where you're not attacked during a game. It's like, well, he didn't do anything. He doesn't have any interceptions. That's because they didn't throw the ball that way.
Yeah, that's what you want. You don't want to hear a corner's name called all the time. No.
Ever. So I was curious about Khalik Hudson because he came on late last season and ended up showing some flashes. Can he make that transition to make that a full-time thing this year? And like, what is his role going to be moving forward, at least to start this season?
To start the season, he's going to be behind those 3. Davis, Holcomb, and Bostic have separated themselves. Those are the 3 that are going to be getting the main time. And when they drop off, Bostic drops off in certain situations. Holcomb drops off in certain situations. Hudson's just going to be that 4th guy. He's going to be that 4th guy. The thinking and the hope is he can take Bostic's spot in the future. So if someone goes down, he's going to be the next person up, and he needs to be prepared for that. Right now, he's kind of, I don't want to say lost in the sauce, but he's just kind of there. He's kind of where he's supposed to be, but he's not flashing right now. And that kind of happens in that second year, especially when they draft a first rounder at linebacker. So that guy automatically moves ahead of you. Then you have two starters that are still here that are ahead of you. So he just has to trust himself and keep working. He does have that ability though. So I think, he's shown the ability. So I think the future is for, after this season, for him to take Bostic's spot at strong side, and that would be the ideal situation for the defense. But right now, he's definitely behind those three.
Awesome. And to wrap up this interview and this episode, Felix, I have two questions for you. I'm going to give you the first one. I'll let you answer, and then I'll ask you the second one, okay? The first one being Jonathan Allen and that hamstring. That is a concern, in my opinion. You don't know with that hamstring. It could linger. Is it a concern for you?
For Allen, no. As long as it's not a foot injury. Foot injuries are what worry me with linemen, with D linemen. Because of the weight.
Why? Okay,
good. The weight. It's the weight, because it's hard to keep off the weight. A hamstring you can rest, because he's not a true twitch guy. It's not a receiver. It's not a corner where they're truly a twitch, and that hamstring has to explode every time. It's an explosion, but it's not a twitch. So it rests properly, and they don't have to run him in the ground early in the year. You have Ioannidis back. You have Settle. So you can give him, instead of, if they have 60 plays on defense, instead of him playing 40, you give him 25, where he can give you a good 25, and you just, let him heal up along the way. So it's not that big of a concern with me, as it would be if it was a foot injury. But I think he'll be fine.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, to my last question for you: tomorrow night, Friday Night Football at FedEx Field. What's an undercover position battle that fans should be paying attention to that they could see tomorrow at FedEx?
Wide receiver. It's a packed house, and I can give you 9 people who should make the roster.
Right.
I can give you 9,
yeah.
and I'm not being facetious. They're legit 9 guys.
Yep.
And with Samuels won't be there, so it's 8 guys that'll be out there that definitely should be on a roster opening day.
Right.
And I have them keeping 7.
Yeah.
But that's the battle to watch. And when you see those one-on-ones, when everyone gets to see the one-on-ones, watch it, and then watch those DBs as well, because the DBs do make plays too, and everyone tweets out the good ones, everyone tweets out the offense, no one tweets out the defense, but the defense makes plays too. So those would be my 2 places to watch, because those are the 2 toughest battles on the team, is wide receiver and cornerback.
Right. I have one more. I'm sorry. I know I only told you I had 2, but I got one more for you. It's a good one, because it's one that I'm concerned about. I really like Coach Harris and what he brings to this secondary. He had a bunch of offers in this offseason to become a head coach. Look, I truly believe that he's going to be a head coach this next season coming up. Who is somebody that could replace Chris Harris in that secondary coach, and that it wouldn't be a drop-off? Do you see anybody kind of being groomed for that position?
Right now, no, because Harris has been with Coach Rivera for a while. He's known him. So I've got to see who's more in his tree. But Coach Harris DB coaches are the best coaches to watch for me. And that I'm speaking as a former DB. But they do the most trash talking. They have the most energy. They have the most fire. They have the most competition. And Coach Harris is that. I mean, he gets – if you could see the conversion of Troy Apke, they call him Trap now, which is I think is cool. They call him Trap. So his conversion in the corner.
Is it because he traps you in with his physical prowess and athleticism, and then
I thought he
not
up
good.
his traps
Troy
really
Apke, Trap.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was because he was but he's terrible. So I was like, oh no.
So,
no, he just got muscular.
If you see he looks like he's played corner for a while, and he hasn't.
No, yeah.
And it's and you can tell that in the coaching level that he has, he's just instinctful, and he's really the guys really listen for him, really compete for him. So he's definitely going to be a head coach somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's coming soon. So hopefully those DBs are sponges and accept everything they can from him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be out the door pretty soon, moving on to higher things. But he has a great coaching style and a teaching style where guys are learning. And so we were talking about William Jackson earlier, and William Jackson get frustrated on a play because he's trying to get off man and what his keys are. And Coach Harris started with the yell, pulled him to the side, told him to taught him up, said, I want you to go against him again. I think it was Terry again. And he made the right read the next time. So it's the coaching there. Right. And I think that's what people will get to see tomorrow, depending on how much they're going to really compete. Coach Rivera was very vague on what they're doing tomorrow. We were like, he said they're practicing. Yeah. That was the extent of what he said. So I don't know. They weren't in pads today. They were in shells today. They did pads the last 2 days previous. So Wednesday and Tuesday. So I don't know. But I know they do have Saturday off, so they might bring some pads and bring some aggression. Yeah, that's what I hope everyone sees.
I'm saying this right now. If Coach Harris can turn Troy Apke from a safety into a formidable cornerback, a white cornerback, hasn't been seen since Jason Sehorn. Give this guy a head coaching job yesterday. Oh my God.
I'm glad that Philly didn't make the right choice and they went with the other guy instead of Chris Harris. I would hate to have to go against Chris Harris twice a year. The dude knows his stuff. He's going to be a great head coach. Felix, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Felix, you work for 1340 AM Fox Sports. If you can, just in case people watching don't know where you come from, can you give us your Twitter handle and where we can find all your pods and shows?
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at HTTR and Blessed. I have not changed my name until the team picks a name, and I will change it. I will change it because I just like HTTR and Blessed. You can find me on Instagram there. I'm on the Washington Rap podcast. We do a short 10-minute podcast a few times a week with my guy Chad and with Robbie Duncan. Sometimes you'll see me on with you'll see me on with Lake Lewis. I do some stuff with him as well. Follow me, message me if I'm at practice. What you want me to look for? I have no problem interacting. Guys want me to. There's the Kelvin Harmon guys. There's the Cam Sims guys.
The Taylor Heineke guys.
There's the Heineke guys.
I'm sure there's a lot of those right now.
Oh yeah, and he's doing well. He has the playmaking ability that the other QBs don't have.
I was gonna say, it looks like you want to say a little bit more about that.
I was brought on to talk about defense, but no. I'm just following what I was asked to do. But no,
you can talk about
whatever you want. Yeah.
Screw Kyle.
Yeah. No, seriously, I do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be a humble guest my first time. But no, Heineke has the playmaking ability that Fitzpatrick doesn't have. Fitzpatrick is a good, solid guy, but when the pocket breaks down, Heineke can make a play that Fitzpatrick can't. And that's all. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Hope you guys will see that soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Felix, I can't thank you enough for joining us. This first time was incredible. I love the kind of X's and O's that you bring. You can kind of really explain for the fan base that's eager to learn about the game of football. You are the perfect guest for that. I can't thank you enough for joining us, Felix. Everybody, thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope everyone has fun tomorrow night at Friday Night Football at FedEx Field. I will be there. We can't record, but it's all good. We're going to bring you a great episode on Tuesday next week. All right, everybody. We'll see you then. And Hall, I hope you have a safe drive. All right, everybody. Washington football. Hey! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!